Jai Jai Ram Om. Shri Ram Jai Ram 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 Jai Jai Ram Om. When chanting is undertaken, we will be able to really enjoy only when we join everybody. Otherwise what happens is, if everyone comes out with their own ragas, ultimately, it may not be an enjoyable session. And so, we would request, all of you may do it mentally. So there are so many people chanting in so many ragas. So it may not be useful. Every time we will be bothering about that disharmonious, You follow? So we will chant, all of you may chant mentally, travel with us, or in the slow voice. Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Om. Shri Ram Jai Ram. Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Om. 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 Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram. Hari Om to everybody. Ravi? Hari Om, Hari Om. Hari Om, Hari Om. The other day, we were making a mention that Papa had reached the goal before he started this inquest of God. So we tried to find out where he said. It is from letters it was taken out. He says, the goal or God or your immortal status is ever with you and in you. The goal or God or your immortal status is ever with you and in you. Even when Ramdas's first year's itinerant life was started, he had nearly reached the summit of God realization. In the course of his wandering life, he came in touch with thousands of sadhus and sannyasis who were continuously running from place to place in quest of that peace which eternally dwelt in their own heart. They were wondering, one and all, as to how Ramdas had realized that never-failing joy and peace, although his life as an itinerant sadhu had been so short when compared to their own. The secret is that Ramdas, through a ceaseless repetition of the divine mantra, side by side with the concentrated meditation on the all-pervading, eternal, ever-blissful, indwelling God, had attained freedom and peace even before his advent into the world as a mendicant. That is why in each and every chapter we find he continues to maintain the contact with the indwelling reality, acting himself as an individual, drawing the necessary things from the indwelling reality. For all of us, for all intents and purpose, he is a devotee in search of God. But really, whenever we find from chapter to chapter, how is it that he has been able to maintain the equanimity in trying circumstances? How he is always vigilant, never to slip. How he has been rolling in blissful, ecstatic feeling. All these things we come to know only because he had reached the goal before he started this yatra. So when we say we are traveling with him, this should not be lost sight of. Another aspect which we would like to share with you, Papa gives importance to bhakti. While we go through the chapter by chapter in quest of God, many a times unknowingly our intellect may start digging into so many things. We should be very careful. Because Papa gives importance to bhakti, devotion. Not that karma and jnana are belittled. He says karma and jnana serve the devotion. He says in one of his letters, bhakti is the beginning, bhakti is the end, bhakti is the way, bhakti is the goal. Jnana and karma are only necessary props on which is hoisted the majestic dome of bhakti. God says, I am the same to all beings, but my devotees are dear to me. So true devotion is based on the equality of vision. Samadarshan gives knowledge and peace, Bhakti gives pure love and premanand. Knowledge enlightens and upholds. Devotion yields thrills of joy and ecstasy. The two combined make Purna Yoga. Behold God as all and still be His child and servant. That is Purna Yoga. Behold God as all and still be His child and servant. You are at once He and His child. God is His own devotee. He is a mystery, but a revealed mystery, revealed in love and joy. To be ever singing His name and glories is to be in tune with Him. Beloved Ram is captured within our heart. Where can you go, O beloved? Thou art always with thy child. When are we going to reach that stage, When we tell him, how can you go now? I have caught you. To be ever singing His name and glories is to be in tune with Him. Beloved Ram is captured within our heart. Where can you go, O beloved? Thou art always in thy child. Surrender to Him. He looks after you, plans and arranges everything for the best of you. He is the all-loving Divine Mother. The ashram is always ringing with bhajan. Hundreds of Rams come here every day, not this ashram, but Kasaragod ashram. O Ram, all glory, thy name. The only prayer of a bhakta to God is made in this strain. O God, keep thy sweet name always on my lips. May my heart be ever filled with thy praise. To love Him with all our heart is the supreme joy of this life. Let us exclaim with rapture, O Sri Ram, thou art mine, I am thine forever and ever. So when we go away from chapter to chapter, when we try to dig out what can be taken out from it, what is to be kept, so that we will be able to make use of it in different circumstances without losing the equanimity, and how to develop the eternal connection with Him. All these things should well up in our heart. Otherwise, unknowingly, we may slip into an academic exercise. We may be able to reproduce. That doesn't help us. The bhakti which is stored up in us has to be touched and kindled. He wants every one of us to take note of this. In every chapter when we go through, we should know how he has been maintaining this beautiful relationship. He has realized that he is that, but at the same time, he is also his bhakta. So from the bhakta standpoint, he is acting, reacting, proacting, all those things. That is why in the testing moments, like in Tirupapuriyu, in the stations, when he was subjected to go through, in our language, trying moments, he was able to take everything casually. There was no tension at all. because he was seeing him in everybody. He is not reacting from the personal level. He is reacting from a little higher level than the personal level, so that the norms completely get changed. When we are viewing it, this is very important. No? This 1 year exercise should enable us to make us slightly raise than the personal level. Whenever we deal with men and matters, what is more important is this. If we are viewing it from our personal, our individual level, whatever rights and wrongs, whatever likes and dislikes, whatever prejudices, whatever conditions we have set, that weighs a lot rather than the reality. But when we raise ourselves to a higher level, we will be able to understand that that person also acts as prompted by him. That situation has also been brought about by him. So that we will not immediately jump, we will not immediately, react from the individual level. So we can say at the end of this 37th chapter, what is it that we carry? A constant reminder to us that we should raise ourselves from the personal level while reacting to events and individuals. So all our sadhana should be centered on this. Our nama chanting should enable us to raise ourselves. So we pray to him. While chanting the name, right from morning till evening, you are making us to go through various types of experiences with various types of people, various types of objects, various types of situations. In all these, I must be able to maintain my connection with you, who is in me and who is in everybody. Every chapter when we read, this must be there. Then only we will be able to really take advantage, take out the best out of it. Every chapter. So today we move to the 16th, Yes? Exactly. Exactly. Right. Absolutely right. Absolutely right. Ariyo. You all heard what he said? No.
You have to tell the questions you
Is it,
question you have to tell because
yeah. You heard. There are people sitting before me also, 1 minute. He says, now it is very clear that Papa had reached the goal before he started this IQG. So the IQG came into being only for the purpose, only for the benefit of sadhakas like us, or devotees like us. He had reached, then why should he mention about it? Only for our own guidance, for our attuning ourselves with him. He has narrated all these incidents in a beautiful way. And then the devotee also remembered in the third chapter of Srimad Bhagavad Gita, Lord says that I don't have to attain anything, all that I want has been attained. And why am I doing? I don't have to do any action. But still I am engaged in action. Why? If I keep quiet, people will follow that. So that is why he is dynamic also. Though he is static, he is dynamic also. So similarly, Papa here, he has already attained. But God wanted Papa to undertake this. He has mentioned it in some other book also. Swami Ramdas on himself, talks of Swami Ramdas, he says the same thing. When you have attained, why did you take up this? God whispered it, that you must go out and tell. So it is for the sake of all of us that Papa has undertaken this journey and brought out this beautiful book called IQG. So suppose we have this in our mind, we will be able to try to connect up with the real theme. Because there are so many episodes, so many situations, so many types of people, and here we see Papa and Sadhuram, for example. The way in which Sadhuram reacts, the way in which Papa reacts. Beautifully brought out. We have to place ourselves in the Sadhuram's place. So we don't know whether we have reached that stage also. Sadhuram, they have also reached a wonderful stage. But suppose, we feel that Papa is telling us through these incidents, through these situations, that how one can be always blissful, unperturbed, untouched. The equanimity, how one will be able to keep it up, even in trying moments. But it should not be lost sight of. So we go to chapter number 16, Calcutta and Dakshineshwar. Where were we? Though they were asked to get down from the train, after seeing the New Testament, there was a sudden change in the attitude of the ticket inspector, and then he apologized and requested them to seated them in the train, the very train, and then they travelled. In due time the train arrived. Both the sadhus launched out in the darkness and coming upon the banks of the Ganges, crossed the huge bridge over it. Anybody has anything to mention about this? On this? So that we don't have to read out the entire chapter. Points. One of the vows now. Yeah. So he was led to Mother Kali. There, O Mother of the Universe, bless thy weak and helpless child. May thy humble slave look upon all womankind as mothers, representing thy divine form. This is the first teaching. Jagannatha. So when we when he took up 3 vows. Second one was, henceforth he will look up, he will, word? Strict celibacy be observed, looking upon all women as mothers. That was the second vow at the time of initiation. And then, so he was taken to Dakshineshwar, and there he went to Kali temple. He was led, and as soon as he saw in due course, they reached Kali Ghat and went straight to the temple and stood in front of the big image of Kali in backside. So there, this was his prayer. Here again, Ramdas experienced a feeling of inexpressible joy and complete resignation to the divine will. Tears flowed profusely from his eyes. It was all due to the mother's grace. The sadhu stayed in the Dharmshala at this place for 2 years. Now again you remember all these. He was able to connect with the impersonal person. When we go there, we see only the idol. At best, we may have some idea about Mother Kali, that's all. But here, it is a total attunement. When he says, Jagannatha, he was connecting himself with the dynamic aspect of the same.
Same feeling is expressed in Pandharpur.
In what way? Tell me. So everywhere when he goes, because he has already reached the goal, he was able to connect himself to the impersonal person in that idol. We cannot say that it should be done like this, it should be done like that. But if we watch ourselves, suppose we watch ourselves, what sort of relationship the sense of individuality is maintaining with the Ishtadevata? Is it for seeking something, at the worldly level? Is it for requesting, is it only for peace of mind? Or a little higher? You are the same principle in me. I am unable to see you. That is why you have come in this form, and to make me know that you are seated in my heart. You lost your connection. in order that innumerable devotees get the benefit of God dimension, we have also come and appeared before us as an Ishtadevata in the temple, and to make us know that you are within us. Suppose we try to develop such sort of relationship, we will be able to really take out the best benefit from such darshan. At the same time, we are reminding ourselves that the same Ishtadevata is within us. Otherwise the risk is, what is the way? Why it gets our own sound get our own sound?
Rewind.
Otherwise, again the problem. Now, Hari Om. Is there any problem now?
No, it is not. Why is there?
Why is still there? Hari Om, Hari Om.
One of the Anandashram Satsang has to be removed.
Hari Om.
Hari Om.
No, it's all right. Okay. So there's a difference between our going to the temple and having the darshan of the Ishtadevata, and Papa going to a temple and having the darshan of Ishtadevata. Though the revelation or realization that the indwelling reality and the all-pervading reality is one and the same, Papa has been able to see it. Whenever he happens to go to a temple or whenever any such meeting is arranged, he is in a position to understand that the same indwelling reality is there outside also. In our case, when we go to a temple, the Ishtadevata is separate from us. We never think that Ishtadevata is within us also. To facilitate devotees to have a better understanding of the indwelling reality, God prompted many of the people to build temples. And then elaborate pujas and so many types of worship are organized, so that when we go there, we also join. We develop a wonderful relationship with the Ishtadevata. Maybe for a short time. We may also pray for this and that also. It's okay. We are praying only to the Almighty Lord of the universe. But later on we will find, when He is within me, why should I unnecessarily pray? Will He not know what I need? So there is no need for me to pray for this and that. That we will be able to realize later. Initially it may not be there, doesn't matter. But we have never understood that the Ishtadevata that is there in that temple or in a photo He is within us, he is within us, he is within us. That we should keep on reminding ourselves. So here, like anybody else, Papa also prays, but at the same time, he is not asking for anything. His words are, O Mother of the Universe, bless thy weak and helpless child. May thy humble slave look upon all womankind as mothers, representing thy divine form. Here again Ramdas experienced a feeling of inexpressible joy and complete resignation to the divine will. Tears flowed profusely from his eyes. It was all due to the mother's grace. The sadhu stayed in the Dharmashala at this place for 2 days. And then from there, two things are there. One is, yes, Ah. 7 miles. That through field. With some friends on the road, they inquired for the way leading to Dakshineshwar, and as directed, they walked on from lane to lane, and then through fields, losing their way at places for want of a guide. It was all Ram's work, who was testing his devotees. However, by his grace, the sadhus reached at last the entrance of the famous temple at midnight. Correct. Because he got established in it, he doesn't put a label. Correct. So even when he loses the way, he does not see it as a disturbance or what you call a hurdle or a roadblock. That also he takes it, God is testing him for reasons known to him. And he doesn't bother about all those reasons. Because his submission to his will is total, no such thoughts interrupt, no such thoughts disturb him. So in Kali temple, he prayed for being able to see all women as forms of Divine Mother. Ram also wanted to see whether Ramdas would have awareness of the blessings being received. That is why he says the thrills of joy experienced when praying are ways of becoming aware that our heart prayers have been answered. This is one clue we have to make note of. How do we know that our prayers have been heard? It is only through an intuitive feeling or an ecstatic feeling where we may not be able to explain. It is inexplicable. But if that experience is there, that is enough. That gives the chapa, authentication that our prayers have been heard. And this wandering, by making the Sadhu Ram and Virat Papa lose their way and wander around for 2 hours at odd hours, Ram was testing to see whether they would persevere to reach Dakshineshwar or give up after experiencing the hardship. The lesson is when we decide to take up some task, we must persevere to see it through without losing hope when faced with hardships. And then types of experiences, they go through even in Dakshineshwar. After the arduous journey, Ram also tested Parvat Papa through the watchmen by telling them that they cannot enter. And when they were in, he softened by allowing them to have the darshan of Mother Kali. Then you cannot enter, but these people, somehow pushed him and they were in. And then later on the watchmen. So there also something for us to learn. God will again test. And when He knows that we are earnest about it, He facilitates everything for us. For Papa's angle there was no problem because he was seeing only the play of God. For us, the lesson is that we should be persevering. So many hurdles may be there. And everybody has reached only after paying the full price, after passing the examination. And then submission to His will, it is writ large in Him. That we should know that. Every now and then, He is not bothered at all. And after that, when they were asked to go and sit, day we are talking about exemptions, The rules and regulations will be there. Otherwise an organization cannot be run. But there are exemptions. So the Pujari invoked that particular exemptions, and he was able to accommodate because of his love, because of God's grace. That is what we feel. But for Papa, it was all a play of God. Even if he sent out, it's okay. Even if he is asked to remain there, okay. To him, he was always full, there is nothing to add. But we take it like this. Rules and regulations are there, but there are exemptions are also there. He keeps on repeating these words, In every chapter we find the same words. That Ram's love knows no bounds. Every time he repeats, probably to make the reader know, the devotees know, that his connection with Ram is solid, It is kept alive throughout. Though as an individual he is behaving, the inner connection is kept alive. That is why he is in a position to name everything as an expression of love. Then, anything else? Pranam. can do it in a different way, Instead of treating everything as a test, suppose we take it that it's a process. Now, a process from one stage to another stage. The bud has to open and flower. So it needs some background. For example, now coffee blossoms should take place now. It will be pining for rains. When you get rains on the 9th day night, the buds will open. And in 2 hours time, the pollination takes place. Now 1 minute. We are in the middle of something else. No, 1 minute. 1 minute, please. 1 minute. We were sharing with other mother that when we are passing through different types of experience, instead of naming everything as a test, suppose we take it as a process from stage A to stage B. It will be painful, from which standpoint. The rice when it is ground, when it is made as a dough to make dosha, the process is there, It is painful for the rice, but at the same time it becomes delicious. So like that, when I was a child, when I started to learn, it was a tough job for me. But after learning it, I can move for the next one. So instead of labeling it as a test, suppose we say there are certain stages in the processes, and this is one of the process. So that is why it is inevitable. Dave yesterday said, pain precedes deliverance. Pain precedes deliverance. So that means what? One process to another process, it is definitely painful. So we keep on reminding ourselves, you have put me on a process. Please give me the needed endurance, to bear everything bravely. Otherwise, what will I do? We have got that freedom to pray to Him. That might help. Then where are we now? Dakshineshwar temple, and there also he did not name it as mosquito. He said winged guest. He did not name it as mosquito. He said winged guest. No. He says when he No, here it's a winged guest first. Well, start the paragraph, 56th page. Well was all that the sadhu said, who was now busy driving away the winged guests by waving to and fro. 56, the winged guess that explains a lot. That explains a lot. Papa has written as winged guess by waving to and fro the piece of cloth with which he covered the body. The sadhu spent a very disturbed night. Anyway, we will not be able to even today, after reading it for 100 times. If the mosquito comes, it will be difficult for us to carry on. No? So Papa could do it, Papa only could do it because he had reached the goal before he started this. That we should always keep it in mind. Then one minute. We are coming to that. Then normally, very rarely, we find Papa expressing his desire. So here also, when he just prayed, somehow thou hast presented us leaving the place. O Ram, to acquaint thy slave with the spot where the great saint lived and performed his austerities and meditation. Scarcely 5 minutes had passed since these thoughts were working in his mind, when a young and tall sannyasi dressed in a coat, reaching nearly to, and his forehead smeared with stripes of chandan, walked up to where Ramdas was sitting, sat beside him. After an exchange of salute, he spoke, "Brother, have you not heard of the great saint of Dakshineshwar Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, who lived here some years ago?" "Yes, friend, Ram has brought his Das here for that very reason," replied Ramdas, who was then wondering at the inscrutable ways of Ram. So he was just thinking about, "O Ram, thou hast brought thy unworthy slave to this temple because of the greatness of the saint Sri Ramakrishna, who flourished here at one time and whose teachings have spread all over the world. Somehow thou hast prevented thy slave from leaving the place in the morning." So when the Sankalpa was welling up, immediately it was answered. Somebody coming there, taking him. And then when he was taken to the road, and when he saw the floor where Bhagavan Ramakrishna Paramahamsa was sitting or moving about, he couldn't control. He was just rolling, pradakshana, anga pradakshana, we say, rolling. And he says he did not know what was happening. Oh, the floor was blessed by the tread of the sacred feet of the holy man. About half an hour passed thus, and he was still rolling, his face beaming with the strange light and infinite joy. That is a very important thing. The hints Papa gives is that when we go to a place of worship, if we closely associate with the Mahatma there, or the idol Ishtadevata there, then Ishtadevata or the Mahatma will give us the prompting to do what will give us the ecstatic state. We remember, now that Mahatma is no more in body, Duli Baba. Duli Baba came to ashram sometime during 90s, late 90s. So during his first trip, he came with some brahmacharis. So we asked one of the brahmacharis to say something about Duli Baba. about his life and mission. So he was explaining to us how he was taken to Pandharpur, and from there, when he went to Vithoba's, he stood before Vithoba's form, he laid himself at the feet of Vithoba and then not prayed. What can we say about it? He cried and said, if you don't want to make me aware of your presence inside, you better take away this body. With that, he was hammering his naked forehead on the feet of Vithoba. Blood started oozing. Suddenly he felt a soothing experience. And then he lifted. He saw an old man calling him. And by that time, apparent, whatever Guruis that were there, Guli Baba did not recognize or mind it at all. Because that old man, suddenly, he was prompted to follow the old man. And the old man took him to various places of worship, in Himalayas also. And they were all coming back to south. And when the train was passing a particular station, the train stopped in a particular station. At that time, this old man got down, and then when the train was to leave, he was not seen. Guli Baba thought he must have got into the next compartment, so waited for the next, but he did not come at all. Then he started crying. You took me from Vithoba's feet and took me to various places, made me slowly aware of the indwelling reality, and now again you have disappeared. So when he was looking at the sky, he found the same old man from there, and he said, I am with you, don't worry. Such things happen, When we, these are all the things which will help us to develop intense bhakti. And here the intense bhakti is not for any worldly matter. It is only for the realization of the ultimate, the indwelling reality. We hardly give any importance for this. We think about so many things, excepting this. This is very important. You have taken me here to make me know that you are seated within me. I am also in these forms, but I am seated within you. This sort of dialogue suppose we develop, we will be always feeling that he is within us, and at the same time drawing the needed push or encouragement in our journey from the outer media also. There are many. In Guruvayur when we go, you will see many. Even today you will find in their magazine one Anubhava Gatha will be there. One experience of a devotee. Many such things. So these are all necessary. These are all necessary to develop this bhakti bhavanas. Why God placed this and makes him to write so that so many people will read, so that the bhakti in us is to be nurtured. You remember Papa said in the first chapter, the young plant of bhakti in Ram, first chapter. The young plant of bhakti in Ram was thus nurtured in the electric atmosphere created by the influence of these great men of mind. Lord Krishna, Lord Buddha, Lord Jesus, and Mahatma Gandhi. He writes about it. The young plant of bhakti in Ram. This word we should remember. The young plant of bhakti in Ram was thus nurtured and in the electric atmosphere created by the influence of these great men on the mind of humble Ramdas. It was at this time it slowly dawned upon his mind that Ram was the only reality, all else was false. While desires for the enjoyment of worldly things were fast falling off, consideration of me and mine was also wearing out. The sense of possession and relationship were vanishing. All thought, all mind, all heart, all soul was concentrated on Ram. Ram covering up, absorbing everything. So this is very important. So today we started with Bhakti and now we thought to it that we end with Bhakti also. We will again read that word of Papa on Bhakti. Bhakti is the beginning, Bhakti is the end, Bhakti is the way, Bhakti is the goal. Jnana and Karma are only necessary props on which is hoisted the majestic dome of Bhakti. God says, I am the same to all beings, but my devotees are dear to me. So true devotion is based on the equality of vision. Samadarshan gives knowledge and peace. Bhakti gives pure love and premanand. Knowledge enlightens and upholds. Devotion yields thrills of joy and ecstasy. The two combined make Purna Yoga. Behold God as all and still be His child and servant. Parabhakti. So let us all pray to Him. You have given us a lot of food for our thought. Kindly enable us to nurture it. The seed of Bhakti which you have planted in us, which we have forgotten or which we have neglected, now it is being touched and kindled so that it is slowly nurtured and brought out. So let us all pray intensely for that. We will see you. Next is Taraknath temple. Okay, that we will take it up tomorrow. Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram 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 Om Hari Om Shri Ram. Pranam, 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 pranam. Hari Om, Hari Om. Hari Om, Hari Om. Bhakti, Bhakti, Bhakti. Hari Om. Pranam.